The Punisher: One Last Kill just dropped its first trailer and it looks great. So let's break down what we saw in this new trailer, point out some connections to Punisher's old Netflix show, and how this series will connect to the events of Daredevil Born Again and Spider-Man Brand New Day. In this trailer, they are exploring a part of Frank Castle and the Punisher that we have seen explored before, but they're really doing it in an interesting way. Something we tend to see with the Punisher is that he goes into hibernation. There are these moments of solitude where we often find Frank existing, and that's what we are seeing in this empty apartment in the trailer, and that's what we saw in Born Again Season 1 before he gets reconnected with Matt and Karen. Because here's the thing about Frank, the Punisher. When he does step out of that self-cocoon that he creates, he is incapable of just having a normal life. He has to be the Punisher. It's almost as if in order for Frank to have any semblance of peace, he has to be alone and shut off from the rest of the world, because if he steps out of that door, literally, it feels like if he even dares to step outside, trouble is just going to find him. And that is what we are seeing displayed here really well in this trailer. And I really like that they're exploring Frank's undeniable mental health crisis. Dude is crazy, and understandably so. He has been through a lot. So we are seeing him have visions of himself, as well as his friend Curtis from his military days, who was also, of course, in the original Punisher series, and he is having visions of his dead family, and they're really just exploring Frank's psyche here. And I love that we are getting to see that line between Frank Castle and Punisher explored, where the Frank part stops and the Punisher part begins, and which side of the coin his true self is. Now, going into Spider-Man Brand New Day, we are going to see Peter Parker dealing with a bit of an identity crisis as well, and that is being amplified by the physical mutation we are seeing him go through, where he seems to be turning into a literal spider, and that's all, of course, like a metaphor for how Peter is going through this journey of self-discovery, where the line between being Peter Parker and being Spider-Man and figuring out where that line falls and if that line even still exists. He'll of course have Bruce Banner, who has taken the approach of burying the beast, and he'll have Frank Castle on the other side, who has taken the approach of embracing the beast. But before we see that embrace in Brand New Day, I think in Punisher: One Last Kill, that will show us what it looks like for Frank to attempt to do things the Bruce Banner way and just lock the beast away. And he will discover that, unlike with Banner, who is seemingly able to just go and live this normal life with Hulk locked away, the only way for Frank to lock away the Punisher is for him to just literally lock himself away. Because unlike with Bruce and the Hulk, who are two very distinct different individuals, I think what we're seeing here is that Frank and the Punisher, they really are one. And in order for them to exist, Frank and Punisher are both going to have to accept that. Following the murder of his family, Frank Castle, in a way, died, and the Punisher is what remains, or really is what was born. But I think come the end of this One Last Kill special, we're going to see Frank Castle, Punisher, who is able to square his two selves and let the Punisher out, but also do some good in a self-regulated way after going scorched earth in this special. Now, when the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer dropped, I gushed about two things: how beautiful the film looked from a cinematography and color grading standpoint. The saturation was just perfect. And the second thing was how much I loved Frank Castle's role in the trailer, and how I think that Punisher is going to make for a great addition to the film, and he may be the best MCU mentor that Spider-Man has ever had. And I'm really happy to say that with Punisher: One Last Kill and its first trailer, those two facts from the Brand New Day trailer remain the same. This thing looks amazing. The color and the contrast, the saturation, it looks beautiful. There's so much depth, and of course, Bernthal as Punisher is great as usual. Now, this special presentation is interesting because, well, it's coming out between Born Again's finale and Spider-Man Brand New Day, and we're all assuming that it is taking place between those two projects as well. No timey-wimey, oh, this show actually takes place before this, but after this bullshit. It's just going to take place in the order in which it comes out. Now, this special promises to be a very balls-to-the-wall, violent, full-on Punisher special, very bloody, very gory, no pulled punches, and that fits in the world of Daredevil Born Again really well. But some have wondered how that will transition into the world of Spider-Man. Well, I think it's clear exactly how they'll make that transition. And the answer is hiding right in the title as well as in the trailer itself, and where I think we will find Frank come the end of this special. So, Frank, he had quite the past decade. His family was brutally murdered, and then after that, he's found himself in multiple altercations that didn't even really involve him, but he's just a good guy like that, and he steps in to help. But every time he steps in to help, he can only help in the one way that he knows how, and that is scorched earth bloodbath. And it drains him every time. And once his victim has been saved and been set up to go live a happy life, Frank has to go back into hibernation, essentially, back into that cocoon and recharge and get some peace. And I think he also does this because he knows that if he stays out, only more bloodshed will come. In Born Again Season 1, when we see Frank again for the first time since the second season of his show, we learn that he's not really grown much. He is still alone. He's very much a miserable hermit, living in the shadows and doing occasional underground punishing. He hasn't grown really as a character at all, and he's fallen back into his own head and lives in that constant grief and anger. And the people he saves, they're able to move on and have their happy ever afters. But Punisher, I think he knows that he can never get that life back. He is the Punisher, and that's what he believes is his purpose. He doesn't believe that he is allowed to be happy and that the only reason he is still breathing is to punish. So in Born Again, we see him do a favor for Karen, and he helps Daredevil when he is attacked in his apartment. And we then see him apprehended by the anti-vigilante task force. He breaks out, and we haven't seen him since. He hasn't been in Born Again Season 2, and I can actually tell you, I can confirm that he is not in Born Again Season 2. They're telling the truth when they say that Jon Bernthal, Punisher, does not appear. But I am holding out hope that maybe the finale of Born Again Season 2 will have some kind of stinger that teases the Punisher special, since it does come out right after. Now, anyway, this special, it is likely going to show us what Frank has been up to since he escaped that holding cage at Fisk's port, and that may very well be, him just escaping and then locking himself away again like he had before getting pulled back into the fight by Karen and Matt. And I think this trailer for One Last Kill is showing us that it plans to be a very dark and heavy 1 hour story that will lack probably some of that fun, awkward humor that we've come to expect from Punisher. It's going to be kind of that more hardcore, emotional exploration of his psyche kind of thing that's really heavy. And I think it will end with him finally being able to tame the beast that is the Punisher and therefore be able to help more people, maybe even, an endangered young mutant in Jean Grey come Brand New Day. I think that Frank, he's going to realize that he'll never be able to be some happy, normal life, day-to-day guy. He knows that. But I think he'll also realize that locking himself away still isn't the answer, because caging himself, just like Fisk caged him, caging himself, that really deprives victims of a hero that could punish those who need punishing. So I think that once Born Again Season 2 ends, and in all likelihood Fisk is removed from office and all this anti-vigilante stuff goes out the window, like we're seeing in the Brand New Day trailer, Spider-Man's being given the key to the city, Punisher's driving around in his van, I think he's going to be more open to the idea of being like a superhero. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. I will see you guys next time. I've been Colton Ogburn. Bye!